Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Let's go ahead and keep the flow flowing. Always get cut off in good parts. Last time we got cut off in a river of gold, and I wanted to get some more great visuals for Mount Roraima, so I don't want to leave y'all hanging. Just trying out this different software, man. It be cutting me off, man. Yeah, but it's all good because, only the way. Sometimes you don't need all that, man. Sometimes you don't need too much. You just need to go with the flow. You just need to surf the wave, man. On a mighty tree stump known as Mount Roraima.
This place really does feel lost in time, unchanged and untouched for millions of years. Watched by strange rock sentinels, I follow Angel's golden river to where it plunges over the cliff.
It was at Altana that Adrian first discovered the origin of the Tepuis. These ancient tunnels are the oldest caves in the world.
Don't they look like something some dragons would just start popping out of? You know what I mean? Now watch what they say. The oldest tunnels, not in America, in the world. Everything they're saying about the antiquity of Mount Roraima and these specific places that we're, pinpointing and highlighting. They keep saying that this is the oldest on Earth, man. All right, that these structures, that when you talk the Orinoco, when you talk these areas, when you talk, all this drop, again, love to Caramay, who was always dropping pertinent containing, just the facts, man. You know what I mean? All we kicking is facts. This is all just fact. Deal with it, man. You know what I'm saying? So the bro puts it out there for you to deal with it, that you're in the old world. And we're talking about antiquity, that we're talking about the copper color khans right here in the ancient world. It's just facts, man. You're going to have to deal with it because everything they're bringing out, and that's why we are, specifically highlighting these particular places and this particular recon, is that it's irrefutable, undeniable. When you recon it, when you research it, you're going to realize you're talking about the ancient ones. You're going to realize they flipped your map upside down, that you're talking about the East, not the West. You're talking about the ancient old world. And once you get your noodle around that, you'll start pinpointing your promised land. Now listen to what he says, about the height of these tunnels and where the water used to be.
They were once part of an underground river system.
These high-ass holes, caves, were once part of the river system in the ancient world. So when you talk about Noah's flood, that the water levels receding, I mean, you're talking about Mu, right? You're talking about, the ancient world, man. So just know that the ancient world, even though you say ancient, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. That particular design is being replenished, restored, and all this is becoming, back in our psyche. Now we can dig on it because it's pertinent to the future. The wisdom of the future is in the past. If there is time, but we all just surfing away. And again, the waters, just imagine the waters being this high. You're talking 9,000 feet in the atmosphere, in the ether.
Ancient tunnels are the oldest caves in the world. They were once part of an underground river system.
Ancient river system.
At the time, all land here would have been at the level of Altana's summit.
All land would have been at this level? Then they're going to go into this cataclysm and all this situation. And, you combine that with the Tower of Babel, and you combine that with, the Mosai cutting down your trees, and combine that with the fall of Atlantis, combine that with Noah's flood. Even in the Tepui story with the tree, with these mighty trees, there's a story that the fall of the tree is what caused the flood. And then you got these flood and these waters going underground, even in the Four Corners and Lake Kapala, right around Utah. These ancient oceans that used to damn near exist right there in Arizona and Utah, all going underground river systems. And you're talking about the root systems of the trees. You're talking about a whole environment, man, a whole ecosystem. You know what I mean? That's right here in front of our face that now we can really look at with a dragonfly perspective and say, I see you clearly. I mean, in the days of Peleg, was the earth divided?
To reach the caves, we descended for almost 1,000 feet down the wall of Altana. The scale was unbelievable. The ledge outside the cave had seemed tiny from the plain. It was covered by trees and boulders. The cave itself was huge, passing from one side of the mountain to the other, with a central chamber reminiscent of a cathedral dome.
Man, just check out the spiral. Just check out the spiral. Clearly, this is something. You know, I mean, you could check out mud fossils. You know, always, making something out of these. You know, what I mean, Joyce. You know, I mean, you're talking about organic life. You're talking about an ancient love song. I mean, look at this. Who did this? Look at this. Look at this. Oh, it's just part of a river system. I mean, they're perfect arches, man. In the islands in the sky, man. Wow.
It's difficult to say when water last flowed through these tunnels, but they were formed some 3 billion years ago.
3 billion kajillion. That's the hijack.
Before life appeared on this planet.
Before life even appeared on the plane. You see how old they saying? Just like with dragonflies, they say they go back 100 million years before the dinos. Basically, they're saying to the beginning of creation, man. Everything to do with your ancient love song is right there from the very beginning. You don't have to squeeze it in. You don't have to tiptoe that mug through the back door. It's right in your face. It slaps you right in the face every time you talk reality. It always takes you back to the beginning. This frequency, the 9, the spirals from the beginning. Again, takes you back to the beginning.
But they were formed some 3 billion years ago, before life appeared on this planet.
Before any life, you're talking about the tree of life.
It takes several hours to fly from Altana to Roraima in a small plane, but once upon a time, the summits were connected. At that time, South America was joined to West Africa.
So you see the multiple trees. Just imagine these trees reaching the firmament. Imagine if they weren't sliced down. Imagine your trees reaching the firmament.
As the continents drifted apart, enormous upheavals began to break up a huge sandstone massif.
In the days of Peleg, the earth is divided.
This is what formed the individual Tepuis. Outside the rocky labyrinth, the summit of Roraima has areas of flat rock and shallow, boggy meadows. It's here that most of the plant life is to be found. To survive here, plants have to be adaptable. This stegolepis, for example, has no permanent roots, and its twisted form indicates it has led a nomadic existence, moved from place to place by flash floods. Rainwater, which collects in deep pools, is channeled along furrows in the rock surface, slowly eroding the earth. Erosion has also revealed layers of quartz crystals on some parts of the plateau. The quartz may explain a local legend that Roraima contains fields of diamonds.
I mean, come on, man. Frequency
The
up.
Tepuis are an exotic botanical paradise, and almost every plant here is found only on Roraima. They have just shallow soil or tiny rock crevices to cling to, and temperatures on the plateau can soar and then drop to freezing. Yet somehow, Many species of fragile, colorful flower thrive here. In order to cope with nutrient-poor soils, carnivorous plants like the sundew supplement their diet by trapping and digesting insects.
Oh, dodge the hijack, man. Come on, man. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Stop the play.
The red color of the leaves attracts the insect, which becomes trapped by the sticky tentacles. The victim's movement as it struggles to escape is what triggers the leaf to close around it.
Wow.
Another carnivorous species, Helianthora, has bucket-shaped pitchers that collect rainwater. Like the sundew, the red color attracts its insect prey. The insect is safe until it crawls onto the slippery inner surface of the pitcher. When it does, it will fall in, drown, and be digested by enzymes produced by the plant. Inside the pitcher, downward pointing hairs ensure there is no escape for the victim.
Yeah. Gotta dodge the hijack.
Just as certain plants are peculiar to the Tepuis, and often to a single mountaintop, many birds here are also unique species. For the most part, the birds that live here are seed eaters and nectar feeders, who, over centuries, have adapted to this hostile environment. But there is one very special animal on Roraima, a creature so ancient that it predates the dinosaurs. The black frog, called Oreophinella, is more closely related to African species than any in South America. So it has probably lived in this region since before the continents separated. As the ancient mountain mass broke up into isolated blocks, the black frog was trapped on this summit and adapted to its new, harsh habitat. The frog was discovered in 1895 when the first biologists came to Roraima. When picked up, it tucks itself into a ball and becomes motionless. The frog can neither hop nor swim and has opposable toes which help it cling to slippery rock surfaces. When it's cool, its black color helps it to keep warm. If it's hot, it either finds shade or immerses its body in running water. Because of its inability to swim, many of these primitive frogs have probably been washed off the summit by flash floods.
Okay. We're talking about the most beautiful place I've ever been. Great drive from carnivorous plants, man. All right. Right quick, man. We're just talking trees, man. So let's dig on. Let's go back into the script. I still got the Tanakh link. Let's bring it up over here. Shalom to the home team. Peace and power. We in this JPS Tanakh 1917. Let's head over to Ezekiel. I'm thinking 31. Let's just dig on this. It says, it came to pass in the 11th year, in the 3rd month, in the 1st day of the month, the word of Ahchwa came unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to his multitude, whom art thou like in thy greatness? Behold, the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon, with fair branches, with a shadowing shroud, and with high stature, and its top was among the thick boughs. The water nourished it, the deep made it to grow. Her rivers ran, and about her plantation she sent out her conduits unto all the trees of the field. Therefore its stature was exalted above all the trees of the field, and its boughs were multiplied, and its branches became long, because of the multitude of waters when it shot them forth. All the fowl of heaven made their nest in its bough, and all the beasts of the field did bring forth their young under its branches, and under its shadow dwelt all great nations. Thus was it fair in its greatness and its length of its branches, for its root was by many waters. The cedars in the garden of Ahchwa could not hide it. The cypress trees were not like its boughs, and the plane trees were not as its branches, nor was any tree in the garden of Ahchwa like unto its beauty. I made it fair by the multitude of its branches, so that all of the trees of Eden that were in the garden of Ahchwa envied it. So on one end you are talking, a metaphor about this is country of Assyria. We're talking about the Assyrian. On the other way, I'm saying the Most High is comparing what he's about to do to these Assyrians, I'm saying, to a cedar in Lebanon. You know what I mean? And, when we talk cedar, you're not even just talking, oh, that's a cedar tree. That's what we're talking. You know what I mean? It's, these are all translations, but we're talking about these massive, trees that, have all these, qualities and, I'm saying, frequency that, used to really, remember when they said every tribe used to have their own tree? You know what I mean? So as we're thinking about it being a metaphor about the Assyrians, it's being compared to something real. It's being compared to the cedars in the garden. All right? We're talking about the tree in the garden of Ahchwa, like unto its beauty. I made it fair, so that all the trees in Eden, we're talking about the trees in Eden, which means we're talking about the Orinoco, which means we must be talking about Roraima, the source of the Amazon, the source of the Manoa, the source of the Orinoco. The Orinoco is a very important river. We got to start paying more and more attention to the Orinoco. Because again, let's go back one. Mount Roraima. All right, we're just talking about it is the source of many rivers of Guyana and of the Amazon and Orinoco. Man, let's see if we can pull this up quickly, man. Columbus, Orinoco River, Eden, something like that. Yeah, you remember this link? Make sure I bookmark this joint. Orinoco. Columbus. Okay. So it says Christopher Columbus was keenly interested in finding the lost Garden of Eden. So this is what he's looking for over here. So when we're making the comparisons with this tree in the garden or this tree of life that we just got in a great book with the Devil's Tree of El Dorado, it has plants of life. It has plants that give you, new life, man. You have plants of life on a tree of life. We're talking about the Garden of Eden. One of his prized possessions was a copy of Cardinal Pierre Diali's Imago Mundi, a geographical treatise that suggested terrestrial paradise perhaps is the place which the authors call the Fortunate Islands. Fortunate Islands. So when you see that way on the other side of the map, bring it on back over here. We're just talking America, man. Just talking America, man. They say the Canary Islands off the northwest coast of Africa. We know where the fortune is. We know where the Fortune Islands are. We know where the terrestrial paradise is. Let's go. Columbus's copious marginal notes demonstrate his abiding interest in mapping the location of the lost garden when he stumbled upon the island of Hispaniola. You talking Haiti? Columbus believed he was close to rediscovering Eden. Don't play with us, man. We know what Columbus looking for, man. He's looking for Eden. He's looking for the cities of gold. One thing is all together. When you talk Eden, you're talking cities of gold. You're talking, all the drop. You're talking the vortexes. You're talking all the drop. A belief reinforced. So he's trying to. He thinks when he gets to Haiti or Hispaniola, he's close to rediscovering Eden. A belief reinforced by the strength of the Orinoco River. This ain't no play. So the Orinoco River only reinforced his belief that he was close to rediscovering the Garden of Eden. Why is this tree the source of the Amazon and this Orinoco River? What about this river, Colombo? He says, I have never read or heard of so great a quantity of fresh water, not salt water, fresh water, coming into and near the salt. He wrote to Spain, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, and the very mild climate also supports this view. And if it does not come from there, from paradise, it seems to be still a greater marvel. If it doesn't come from paradise, it's even a greater marvel. This what river? This Orinoco River, the source of this great quantity. He says, I've never heard of so great a quantity of fresh water. This is the source of the Amazon, fresh water. This is the source of the Orinoco, fresh water. We're talking about Roraima. And the very mild climate also supports this view. If it does not come from paradise, it's still a greater marvel. For I do not believe that there is known in the world a river so great and so deep. So we can't play on this. We can't play on this Orinoco, man. Columbus's belief that he was near the earthly paradise is evident in his first letter to the Spanish monarchs. And he found the innocent charm of the natives. Because you was in paradise. They found you in paradise, man. All this is about our indigenous flow, our indigenous truth, man. Connecting to the fact that he brought a Hebrew interpreter, knowing he was rolling up on the kingdom of Jerusalem. He said it himself, right? In the Biblioteca de Colombina in Seville, Spain, I'm going to seize this holy city. I'm going to capture this. I'm going to America to seize the holy city, to seize Zion. And that's in the Vatican records, man. I do not believe that there is known in the world a river so great and so deep. And this river, this Orinoco River, this Orinoco River is coming out of Mount Roraima, this tree, man. You know what I mean? Just think about that, man. Hold on, let's get some more of this script. So when we talk about the trees of Eden, hold on.
Al salir de un cerrado meandro del Churún, el
Hold
líquido
up, man. Hold up, man. I'm gonna get some of these visuals. I'm gonna get some of these visuals next. It's all in Espanol. So all my Spanish speaking drop nation, if y'all hear some drop it in the comment box. I'm just gonna play it. Maybe put some, maybe get a little fluty. I just want to catch the visuals of Mount Roraima, man. You dig? Shout out to Caramello. He's doing a great job. Bro, if you hear some drop, let me know, bro. Let me hear, you know what I'm saying? Don't keep it to yourself. Drop it on the drop. Love the Caramel. Go subscribe, go subscribe, go subscribe. Man, he's doing a great job. Let's go, man. We're just talking about Ezekiel 31. So that it was all, I made it fair. We're talking about this tree. By the multitude of its branches, so that all the trees of Eden that were in the garden of Ahchwa envied it. Therefore thus says Ahchwa, your power, because thou art exalted in stature, and he hath set his top among the thick boughs, and his heart is lifted up in his height. I do even deliver him into the hand of the mighty one of the nations. He shall surely deal with him. I do drive him out according to his wickedness, and strangers, the terrible of the nations, do cut him off and cast him down. Remember, he's talking about the Assyrians, and he's using his tree, you know what I'm saying, just to give a visual of the cutting down of the hijack. Upon the mountains and in all the valleys his branches are fallen, and his boughs lie broken in all the channels of the land, and all the peoples of the earth go down from his shadow, and do leave him. Upon his carcass all the fowls of the heaven do dwell, and upon his branches are all the beasts of the field, to the ends that none of all the trees by the waters exalt themselves in their statue, neither set their top among the thick boughs, nor that their mighty ones stand in their height, even all that drink water, for they are all delivered unto death, to the nether parts of the earth, in the midst of the children of men, with them that go down to the pit. Yeah, man. We're just talking trees, man. Trees in the garden. To whom art thou thus like in glory and in greatness among the trees of Eden? Yet shalt thou be brought down with the trees of Eden unto the nether parts of the world. So you'll be brought down with the trees of Eden. This is very important right here. So when we talk Eden, remember, old Columbo said it best, man. Oh, man. You know, he's just searching for Eden, right? He's just trying to rediscover Eden. A belief reinforced by the strength of this Orinoco River. Right? I have never heard or read or heard of so great a quantity of fresh water so coming into and near the salt. And the very mild climate also supports this view. And if it does not come from paradise, it seems still a great marvel. Because I do not believe that there is known in the world a river so great and so deep as the Orinoco flow, coming from Mount Roraima. And so, you know, since we're talking Columbo and he's looking for Eden, and he says this Orinoco River so great, so deep, it must be coming from terrestrial paradise or Eden. And the source of that river is this tree, Roraima. Or we're just talking the trees of Eden? Is that plausible, or is it somewhere else I should look? Show me, another contestant. Show me another tree on earth that's a better contestant to be at least one of the trees of Eden. Even if it's not the tree of life, I don't even know another tree that comes close. I mean, I'm not over here just campaigning for one tree. Show me a tree that comes close, man. But at least we're talking about the trees of Eden, and the Most High's kicking it right here. To whom art thou thus like in glory and in greatness among the trees of Eden? Yet shalt thou be brought down with the trees of Eden unto the nether parts of the world. She's talking about the nether parts of the earth, man. The nether parts, man. Thou shalt lie in the midst of the uncircumcised with them that are slain by the sword, man. The Pharaoh and all his multitude. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. All right, the trees of Eden. Let's go. We're just talking the Orinoco flow. Let's go. We're just talking the Orinoco flow. Hold up, man. Hold up, man. Well, you know me, I'm just going to let it flow.
Bemoles, el Santo Ángel hace su aparición.
Now, just pay attention to, the water. Focus on the water in this situation, because this is the tree that is the source of this mighty, great, deep, river system and all that. Called the Orinoco. Let's go.
Es una visión espectacular, un paisaje único. No es de extrañar que su presencia haya tomado el ánimo de los primeros viajeros europeos y haya sido desde tiempos inmemoriales la cuna del panteón indígena.
Oh, wow. Look at that life, baby. Tree of life. Y'all see all that water? All right, so this water is the source of the Amazon, man. Tree of life. Look at this tree. Look at this beautiful tree, man. Look at this beautiful tree, man. Imagine the beauty of it. This is just the stump of the tree. Imagine the beauty of this tree. Just stop what you're doing and imagine the beauty of Roraima. The trees of Eden. This is what they're looking for, but they're looking for what? Manoa. They're looking for El Dorado. Cities of gold. We're going to have a cities of gold dismount. We're going to have a cities of gold dismount. Let's go. Look at the water, man.
Es el salto de agua más alto del mundo. El caudal acumulado por las lluvias en esta parte de la meseta se precipita al vacío desde una altura de 972 metros, casi 1 kilómetro.
Yapa.
17 veces más alto que las cataratas del Niágara.
Look at all that life. Look at all that life. Tree of life.
Sobrevolando entre las paredes del aullante Tepui, en el cañón.
You see all the roots. These are all the roots of the tree. That's a tree here. You see a tree back there, another tree. I mean, wow, man. You're talking the trees of Eden.
Del diablo, no nos extraña que Arthur Conan
Look at this. Tree. These are the trees of Eden.
soñase con dinosaurios que habitaban este mundo perdido. En los 700 kilómetros cuadrados de extensión del aullante Tepui, la vegetación y la fauna es
I will cut you down like the trees of Eden.
distinta a la de abajo. Los tepuyes son restos de una gran meseta que en el Precámbrico ocupaba toda la región. Las especies vegetales que cubrían el antiguo macizo y parte
I mean, the Most High couldn't let the hijack climb these trees back up to the firmament, man.
de su fauna han perdurado en las cimas de estos cerros, aisladas por sus altas paredes verticales.
Man, that's beautiful.
Tras recorrer 1 kilómetro, el agua llega al suelo en forma de lluvia, creando una atmósfera fantasmal que confiere al salto un aspecto etéreo e irreal. En su base, al amanecer, el reflejo de los primeros rayos del sol provoca un arco iris que aumenta, si cabe, la imagen imponente del Carepacupay de los indios. El salto fue visto por primera vez por el explorador de la Guayana Félix Cardona en 1927.
10 años después, el piloto estadounidense Jimmy Angel aterrizó en la cima de Lauyan. Buscaban una mina de oro, pero la avioneta se hundió en una zona pantanosa y tuvieron que bajar andando. Tras 15 días de dura lucha por la supervivencia, llegaron extenuados al poblado de Uruyen. Desde entonces, el Carepacupay es conocido como el Santo Ángel. ¿Encontró Jimmy Angel el oro de Lauyan? Hay quien afirma que sí, y que un socio suyo, el letón Alexander Leimel, lo guardó en secreto. I mean, this is just breathtaking, man. And, you know, like, just not to see a bunch of streets and cars and all that stuff, man. And, man, don't you miss it, man? But you can't have it without order. You know, that's the play. You can't have it without order, without the vibration. You know what I'm saying? You got to crystallize. I mean, you know, this time, man, is for everything. This time around right now, this time right here, man, this is for everything. You playing for it all, man. You came here to play for it all, man. You came here to, you know what I'm saying, take it on home, man. We're just talking about home. We're talking about the trees of Eden. Let's hit up, let's go Ezekiel 17. Let's just go right to verse 24. You know, we'll kick it back to 22. Thus says Ahchwa. Moreover, I will take even I of the lofty top of the cedar and will set it. I will crop off from the topmost of its young twigs a tender one, and I will plant it upon a high mountain and eminent. In the mountain of the height of Israel will I plant it, and it shall bring forth boughs and bear fruit and be a steady cedar, and under it shall dwell all fowl of every wing. In the shadow of the branches thereof shall they dwell, and all the trees of the field shall know that I, Ahchwa, have brought down the high tree, have exalted the low tree, have dried up the green tree, and made the dry tree to flourish. I, Ahchwa, have spoken and have done it. So, you know what I'm saying? Just because you know, all these are metaphors, but the fact that the Most High is using the trees, you know what I mean, as an example, because, you know, when you get deep enough, certain trees even made, you know, different covenants themselves that they got caught up in, you know what I'm saying? Certain trees, you know, transgressed in their own right, you know, didn't, you know, bloom at the right time, or, you know what I mean, didn't hold down the code, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, everyone got hijacked in one way or another, you know what I mean? Everyone got hijacked in one way or another, man. Your fall is the fall of it all. And your awakening is the awakening of it all. You arise, your dragon arises, your land arises, you fall, it all falls. It's one organism. You're one with your entire, you know, flow, your entire environment. This is your, you know, your system, man. You know what I'm saying? This is your place. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you're going to have to drop. All you got to do is fight through the static to get back, man. And this one more, let's go to, chill. Daniel 4, let's check out verse 11. He cried aloud. We're talking about Nebuchadnezzar. All right. Genghis Khan. Let's go. He cried aloud and said thus, hew down the tree, cut off its branches, shake off its leaves, scatter its fruit, let the beasts get away from under it, and the fowls from its branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump of its roots in the earth. Even in a band of iron and brass and the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts and the grass of the earth. Let his heart be changed for man's, and let a beast's heart be given to him. So, you know, again, we're talking about a tree growing strong, and it's now being connected with this old Belshazzar, right? Well, you know, that's the name given to Daniel by Nebuchadnezzar. But at last Daniel came before me, whose name was Belshazzar. This is his hijack name. Right? According to my name, the name of my God. Bang. That's his hijack name. And in whom, in the spirit of the holy gods, and I told the dream before him, O Belshazzar, master of the magicians. And so remember Daniel, you're talking about the second son of King David, also a magi, all right? Because I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in thee, and no secret caused thee trouble. Tell me the visions of my dream that I have seen and interpretation thereof. Thus were the visions of my head upon my bed I saw. And behold, a tree in the midst of the earth, and the height thereof was great. The tree grew, and it was strong, and the height thereof reached the heavens, and the sight thereof to the ends of the earth. The leaves thereof were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and it was all food for all. And the beasts of the field had shadow under it, and the fowls of the heaven dwelt in the branches thereof, and all flesh was fed of it. All right, and then he saw this tree getting cut down, you dig? Nevertheless, leave the stump of its roots in the earth. And again, the Piedmont Indians call this tree a mighty tree stump. A mighty tree stump. So, let's get a couple more, man, before we fall back in the beautiful cities of gold. Dismount. Let's take it from this one right here first. And keep surfing the wave. We're just talking tree of life. Now they're making this little venture. We'll check out a piece of their venture. These are the folks that put together the movie Up. And that's where they had to go to this Tepui in Venezuela, otherwise known as Mount Roraima.
Next day, we drove to an Indian village called Tepui.
It's about a 2-hour drive from Santa Elena. Second hour's on a really rough dirt road with lots of potholes.
And from there, we were picked up by the helicopter to ferry us to the base of Roraima. We could have landed on top of Roraima, but I decided to make them walk from the bottom of the cliffs to give them, a bit more of an adventurous experience.
And we finally got there, and here's this looming, giant block of rock coming at
It was
you.
really foreboding. It's this dark thing that shoots up out of the ground.
We're climbing that?
Yeah. It looked like, oh, no, you're not.
You're trying to relate your size cues to this thing. And then Adrian Warren starts to point out, oh, look, there's some people already started to make their trip up. And then somewhere on the face of this Tepui, you see these kind of like salt specks. Those are people?
After everyone was gathered, we put our backpacks on and started climbing up Roraima from about 6,300 feet up to about 8,900 feet. The trip up was like 6 hours of Stairmaster, because nothing was just a straight path. Everything was over roots and down into mud and up, and step by step it was finding a place to put your foot that wouldn't slip.
It was so steep in certain areas. It was like I had to use my arms to pull myself up. It was a lot harder, I think, than any of us thought.
We had our humongous big boots on, our Gore-Tex, everything, The guides, on the other hand, they had flip-flops.
Emilio, he was wearing socks and slippers that were 2 sizes too small for
Dang,
him.
he gangsta.
Borrowed from his girlfriend.
He gangster for that.
And walked through all the other stuff with that.
Yeah, man, he a G for that, man. He a G
And
for
what
that.
you're climbing up past are millions upon millions of years of sediment.
Let's skip ahead a little bit.
It felt like we went back in time into some kind of mythical land.
And all these rocks, they have these strange shapes. There are some shapes of turtles. There's the shape of what looks like a Mexican with a sombrero sitting by the campfire. There's dinosaurs. There's a monkey eating an ice cream cone. There's rocks teetering on like a little spindle.
We said, there's no way if we put this in the film that I would believe. It looks like the whole thing's going to fall over. I would design some more support under that rock if this were in the computer. And yet there it is in real life. So
And it's because of the sandstone being in different layers, some of which is harder and some which is softer. Of course, the softer rock wears away by the wind and the rain more quickly. So you get these very, very strange sculptures.
They don't know what the hell they talking about.
This place does feel old and forgotten, and it feels like the perfect place
Maybe that's why these feel right. All these rock slabs that are all at different angles, so it feels like it's falling apart, but it's really old.
Yeah. And since it's sedimentary, it feels like it's wrinkles. Yeah. It feels like it's an old man itself.
These tepuis are so tall, they kind of say that they make their own weather systems.
One side will heat up by the sun quite quickly in the morning and form these swirling clouds which cap the top of the mountain.
What I wasn't expecting was the rapid pace that it can be totally sunny and then you're in a cloud and then it's gone and it's sunny and then it comes back and it's raining and it happens really fast.
You're trying to paint something. You start. You look down, you're painting, and then you look up. Clouds.
Hey, where'd Roraima go?
There's a sense you get just as a human by going somewhere and smelling and feeling and being there that you can never get in a book or a movie.
You gotta smell it, you gotta taste it, you gotta be there to get the realness of it.
Scale, you can't really understand in a photograph because usually it's like the plants are all close up and the rocks far away, but then when you think about everything together in a landscape, the plants are just really small and insignificant.
And 80% of them exist only on top of these tepuis, so it's all new. It's things you've never seen before.
When you see them in the photos, they just look like cactus or, something that you already know. But when you actually feel some of those, like the stegolepis, it's so thick, it's like a piece of plastic. I think because they have to be so hardy and retain so much water within themselves.
There's not much soil on top of a lot of these mountains. It only settles in little gullies.
And from that little bit of soil, you'll have as many plants as it could support.
Yeah.
It just felt like we were looking around at a flower shop.
Like little Japanese ikebana or little Japanese gardens.
Everything just seemed to be arranged by somebody up there.
We walked all over Roraima. We went to the edge so we could look across to Kukanam, across this beautiful forested valley. We walked up to the Valley of Crystals. The whole valley is covered in quartz crystals. I took them to a sinkhole. The way it's eroded, it looks like pillars. And they would suddenly sit down. Say, okay, we're going to stop here and make a lot of drawings.
If I have a time to draw something, even if the drawing is lousy, it somehow sits in my head more. Like there's something about the act of putting it on paper that makes me experience it more vividly.
It was an interesting experience for me because they would gaze in wonder at something and I would examine it in fine detail to feel it and make beautiful watercolors, ask very different kinds of questions. What you pull out of the experience as an artist is essentially what you're trying to show the audience. And that means that what we localize on and what we can feature is very important while you're there in the location.
Their sketches really tell you a lot about who they are, what they look for, and what's important in the landscape. Ronnie Del Carmen's had a real emotional, colorful quality to what he did. Don and Nat were looking at wonderful rhythm of structures of things. Lou was looking for the whimsy of things, and Bryn, you could tell she was really keyed into the beautiful texture she was seeing.
We modeled some rocks and painted them so that you could really see like the lichen deposits and all the mineral deposits, things that are stuck onto the rock. It was really helpful in getting that look into the movie.
Darn thing.
Yeah. I don't want to play none of the movie, but, you can go check it out, man, and see what's really going into this. And, one more great script I want to, dig on is in Genesis, man. I mean, gotta take it to the top. As we get ready for Nice Cities of Gold flow. I'm going to get a little bit of that Devil's Tree of El Dorado before we get there as well. Let's go to Genesis. Let's go to. We're just talking about the tree of life, right? The trees of Eden. No shrub of the field was yet in the earth. No herb of the field had yet sprung up. For Ahchwa had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. Then Ahchwa formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. That's why we say you don't go back to your creator with a hijack, praying in the name of nothing else. Your nostrils were breathed directly into with the breath, the breath, man. We're talking about the fifth letter of the Paleo Hebrew. They say, hey, it is ha or the sixth letter is wa, which means foundation, security. So the ha-wa is the breath of security, the secure breath, the secure breath. The seventh letter is Zion or Zon, your weapon, your rest. So after you get your secure breath, you get your weapon and you get your rest. And that's just within the first 7 letters of Paleo Hebrew, man. The breath is the mama. Big mama, big mama. And with big mama, you get your father, you get your vibration, your shaper, your security. Ahchwa planted a garden eastward in Eden. Trees of Eden. He put a man whom he had formed, and out of the ground made the power, Ahchwa, to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life, also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The tree of life is right there in the midst of the garden. Which garden, man? We're talking about the Garden of Eden. Columbus is rediscovering Eden. He finds the Orinoco River. He says, I've never heard of so great a quantity of fresh water coming into near the salt. And all the very mild climate also supports this view. If it does not come from paradise, from paradise, it seems to be a greater marvel. The Orinoco, you're only talking about Roraima, right? You're only talking about Eden, the tree of life, and the trees of Eden. And quickly in this great book here, Devil Tree of El Dorado, get a couple pages here, man. Let me get a flow going on, man. Let's get some flow going on. What y'all want, man? Y'all want some of that reggae? Some reggae flow? I don't know, man. Let's go, let's just put in 432 hertz and, see where the wind blows. Oh, magical forest music? Come on, man. We can't beat that. We're just talking the trees of Eden. We're talking the magical forest. Let's go to the magical forest, man. Only the wave. Okay. I could dig it. Because we read about all the, phosphorescence and the beautiful glowing flowers, in the summit of Mount Roraima, according to these particular archaeologists and explorers, that this book is based on, which is called the Devil Tree, which is only talking about dracons and dragons and stuff. Let's just get it from here. They reached the summit of the ridge just when the sun was rising, and there before them, like a veritable fairyland in the sky, right? So we've been digging on some of this stuff with the documentaries. They didn't get as far as these guys got, in this particular source here. This is, I think, at least 100 years before these people looking in it today. They ain't digging in the right spots. You know what I'm saying? They ain't going in the right caverns, you dig? But if they did, they wouldn't tell us. Trust me. If what they're finding, they would not tell you, and they would not publish it. Now they're saying, and there before them, like a veritable fairyland in the sky, they saw the mysterious Roraima. Its pink, white, and red cliffs illuminated by the morning sun and floating in a great sea of white mist. So we're seeing some of this connection already with the clouds and all that, above which showed here and there the peaks of other lower mountains like the islands they once were. That's what we see in these pictures, right? We see these other, these other trees. Just go Google it, man. Just Google Mount Roraima, man. Make it easy. You see what you're getting. This mystical place, right? And like I said, they don't really get that far. They just kind of do their little excursion. They don't really get lost in there, you know what I mean? See, in this book we're reading, they got lost for months and months and months. You dig? These people go up there for a couple of days. They ain't really trying to go to them spots. You know what I mean? So, keep these great impressions. All these are beautiful, man. Look at this one. You gonna give me the shot? Nah, man. See, I don't want that. I want the actual picture, man. Give me these little half pictures now. So it's this little photo gallery. So think about, all these visuals as we read this little section right here of the Devil Tree of El Dorado. Floating in a great sea of white mist, above which showed here and there the peaks of other lower mountains like the islands they once were, but looking dark and heavy in their half shadow beside the glorious beauty of this queen of them all that reared herself far above everything around. What did we just read about the trees of Eden? How, you got these beautiful planted trees, and you got, this one particular tree, right? This tree of life. This beautiful tree, this cedar of Lebanon. You know what I mean? All these are titles. It is impossible to give an adequate idea of the impressive grandeur of this mountain, which might be likened to a gigantic sphinx. We just dropped on the Sphinx of Malibu, Santa Monica Mountains. Serene and impassive in its inaccessibility, or might be likened to a colossal fortress built by titans to guard the entrance to an enchanted land beyond, for the cliffs at its summit appear curiously turreted. Turreted. All right. While at the corners were great rounded masses that might pass for towers and bastions. In places with the light-colored cliffs were to be seen darker rocks, black and dark green, brown, worked in as it were with strange figures as though inlaid by giant hands. And elsewhere the sides were perpendicular, smooth and glassy looking, scarce a shrub or creeper found a precarious hold there, but down from the height at one spot fell a great mass of water, like a broad band of silver sparkling and glistening in the sunlight that came with one mad leap from the top and disappeared in a cloud of spray. We're talking about the water. See this little cloud of spray? Let's go, man. The mighty tree. The mighty tree. The trees of Eden. The trees of Eden. Great mass of water like a broad band of sparkling, silver sparkling, glistening in the sunlight that came with one mad leap from the top and disappeared into a cloud of spray and mist 2,000 feet below. Further along could be seen other narrower falls like silver threads. There was no crest or peak. As with most mountains, the top was a tableland, tabletop, beyond whose edge one could see nothing. This edge was fringed with what looked like herbage, but seen through a powerful field glass, proved to be great forest trees. Great forest trees. Then, as the sun rose higher and warmed the air, the mist cleared somewhat around the lower part of the precipitous cliffs, so that far, far down could now be seen the foliage that crowned the great primeval forest, the forest of demons, right? So now they're talking about this forest that can be seen. They're talking about all down here. Come on, man. Talking about all this forest down here. They're calling that the forest of demons, but what they're calling demons is just dragons. I mean, I guess to them, dragons are demons to them, to them. But so are you, right? So are you. Fierce or violent person towards the hijack. So they're talking about all the foliage down below. Let's keep going. The forest of demons that girdled the cliff's base. Gradually, the mist descended and the full forest's height showed up like a titanic pedestal of green itself floating in the haze that still remained below. By degrees, the mist rolled down the mountain's side for Below this extensive forest girdle, the actual base and lower slopes began slowly to appear with waterfalls and cascades and rushing torrents and great rivers dashing and foaming in the rocky beds. Then other intervening ridges and patches of forest and open savanna gradually came into view, with the full forms of the surrounding smaller mountains, the whole making up a panorama that was marvelous in its extent and in the variety of its shapes and tints. But scarcely had the sun revealed this wondrous sight to their astonished eyes when a cloud descended upon Roraima's height, just like that, lady was saying. And just like that, there would be a cloud, right over you, or the dude was saying, when you be drawing, we start to draw, and then there's a cloud, and you say, where'd everything go, right? So suddenly, right, this cloud descends upon Roraima's height. Almost imperceptibly, it grew darker, then darker still, and yet more somber, till the erstwhile fairy forest seemed to frown in gloomy grandeur. Its salmon-tinted sides, but now so airy-looking in their lightness, turned almost black and seemed to glower upon the brilliant landscape. The forest also lost in its verdant coloring and looked dark and forbidding enough to pass for an enchanted wood peopled by dragons. Yeah, demons and hobgoblins to guard the grim castle at its center. The grim castle at the center, this dragons is guarding a castle. A castle. We talking Manoa, right? We're still talking Manoa, El Dorado. Don't this look like the kind of castle that they're saying is in Fairyland? But here, man, we're just talking about the city of Manoa. It's the same city of Manoa that we read about in the same book, Devil's Tree of El Dorado. Now it's this enchanted wood peopled by dragons guarding this grim castle. Well, we know that dragons, you're talking about angelic energies, and here you're talking about the cities of gold. So even though they say grim castle, they're saying the cities of gold, man. The dragons are guarding the cities of gold. Then the cloud descended lower still in the castle, and haunted forest passed out of sight as swiftly and completely as though it had been a magical illusion that had vanished at the touch of the magician's wand. And again, you're talking the river Amazon, you're talking the Orinoco. All this is, all these are this Roraima area. When you're talking the trees of Eden. It said it includes a walled city with ships and boats or canoes. Also includes Native Americans carrying casks down to boats carrying canoes to water. So that Nagas, let's go. Juan could well mean Johannes. Wait a minute. Well, wait a minute. How they get to the Johanneses? Y'all gotta help me out. How'd they get to the Juan and Johanneses? All right, let's go, man. Because they just talking about Martinez, huh? Juan could well mean Johannes, but search engines do not see it that way. Therefore, this difference could be important for a researcher. Anyways, Mr. Martinez was allegedly the first one to end up in this Manoa city. The first one. All right, let's go. Following the genre, he ended up in the city blindfolded. We will give the story of this first and only visit to Manoa in Rowley's own words, but not in his own spelling. Martinez, as has been said, was master of the ordinance to ordas, and the powder provided for the expedition. Having by his negligence been set on fire, he was condemned to death by the general. On the accession of the soldiers, however, capital punishment was remitted, and Martinez was sent adrift on the Orinoco in a canoe with his arms, but without any food. So they said, man, you gotta go. You could take your gun, but no food. And that was his way of being sentenced to death. All right. It says, it pleased God that the canoe was carried down the stream, and that certain of the Guyanians met in the same evening, and having not at any time seen any Christians nor any men of that color, they carried Martinez into the land to be wondered at, and so from town to town until he came to the great city of Manoa, the seat and residence of Inca, the emperor. Inca, huh? Let's go. The emperor, after he had beheld, knew him to be a Christian, for it was not long before that his brethren Huascar and Atahualpa were vanquished by the Spaniards in Peru. Yeah. So now we got to connect the Inca drop to this particular emperor of the city of Manoa, that they're connected with the city of gold. He lived 7 months in Manoa, but not suffered to wander into the country anywhere. He also brought thither all the way blindfolded, led by the Indians, until he came to the entrance of Manoa itself, and was 15 days in passage. He avowed at his death that he entered the city at noon, and then they uncovered his face, and that he traveled all day till night through the city, and the next day from the sun rising to the sun setting, and he came to the place of Inca. After that, Martinez had lived 7 months in Manoa and began to understand the language of the country. Inca asked him whether he desired to return to his own country or would willingly abide with him. But Martinez, not desirous to stay, obtained the favor of the Inca to depart, with whom he sent diver Guanians to conduct him to the river Orinoco, all laden with as much gold as they could carry. So they definitely got to the cities of gold, right? Now, I guess the emperor's name is Inca. If that's the same as this Inca tribe, they said it was connected with this Peru situation. He said, for it was not long before that his brother Huascar and Atahualpa were vanquished by the Spaniards in Peru. Huh. Man, that's an interesting story, man. That's an interesting story right there. I'm just surfing away. There's different sources on this. This is what we're just leading you to the water, man. This is another source here, the discovery of Guyana. All right, in the books, we're talking about Manoa City. I know not, but Moriquito for a time dissembled his disposition, suffered Spaniards and a friar, which Biero had sent to discover Manoa, to travel through his country, gave him a guide for Macaraguara, the first town of civil and apparelled people, from whence they had other guides to bring them to Manoa, the great city of Inca or Inga. And being furnished with those things which they had learned from Carapana were of most price of Guyana, went onward, and in 11 days arrived in Manoa, as Barrel affirmed for certain, although I could not be assured thereof, by the Lord which now governs the province of Moriquito, for he told me that they got all the gold they had in other towns on this side Manoa, there being many very great and rich, as he said, built like the towns of Christians with many rooms. All right. And again, they're referring to these Nestorians in many cases. So you see over and over again, different sources, dropping on this kingdom of the Golden King, House of Inca, the country in the Lake Parima in the middle of Guyana, acknowledged by report a successor of Guyana Hakapa and the House of Incas of Peru. So this Peru, Peruvian, Peru, Jerusalem, whatever you want to, tie this to at this time. But, their chiefs and their, their high orders seem to have some connection, directly with this, chief that keeps, that at least they're being, referred to with this Manoa situation. You know what I mean? So, there's a lot that we got to dig on, about who's ruling at what time and what's really popping in this particular tree. Again, you're just talking a tree. And this El Dorado of Manoa that's supposed to have been found inside of this giant tree. House of Inca Peru, and composed the true kingdom of the Golden King. The remaining part towards the north is possessed by diverse people, which cannot of themselves make a body of 250 men. They are all idolaters and obey the ancient chiefs of their families. All right, dig on it. It's another source here, The Life of Sir Walter Riley, the report of Domenico Martins, Baptist Martinez of Jamaica, concerning El Dorado. He said that in 1593, being a Carthagena, there was a general report of a late discovery called Nuevo Dorado, and that a little before his coming thither, there came a frigate, something like that, from the said Dorado, bringing it in the portraiture of a giant all of gold weighing 47 quintals, whatever that is, which the Indians there held for their idol. But now admitting of Christianity and obedience to King of Spain, they send their sad idol unto him, in token that they were become Christians and held him for their king. The company coming in the said frigate reported gold to be there in most abundance, diamonds of inestimable value, and with great stores of pearls. So you're talking about, milk and honey, right? The land of milk and honey. He says that being at Trinidad in 1591, he had of Indian there a piece of gold of a quarter of a pound in exchange for a knife. Man, so he gave an Indian a knife and he got him a quarter pound of gold. The said Indian told him he had it at the head of that river which comes to Paracoa in Trinidad, and that within the river of Orinoco, it was in great abundance. So this Orinoco connected to this gold river. Also in 1593, being taken by the Spaniards and brought prisoner into the island of Madeira. The place where his prison there came. In the meantime, a bark of 40 guns from a new discovery with 2 millions of gold. The company thereof reported gold in that place to be of great abundance and calling it El Nuevo Dorado. The Frenchmen passed from Spain in the bark and having a cabin near a gentleman, one of the discoverers that came from the place, and the said bark had divers times conference with him, and among other things of the great abundance of gold in the said Dorado, being, as they said, within the river Orinoco. And there's more, and there's more, and there's more, and there's more. A lot of map drop. Oh man. You're talking about, headless people. I mean, the mythical headless men. You see these headless people. I mean, hey, Prester John, we just talking about the land of Prester John. Who knows, man? Who knows, man? Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, it's a very strange place. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of mystery around a lot of stuff regarding this place. So, is it play? You tell me. Tree of life, everything or nothing. Everything or nothing when you talk Roraima, man. It's a beautiful thing. Wow. All right. I think we're ready to make a nice dismount into the cities of gold. Let me check my time. Okay. All right. We're flowing. Oh, man. Last time I checked it, I was like an hour and a half in, and it said the recording stopped at like 29 minutes. So I did like 30 minutes of, and not like an hour of talking to y'all. Check my time, and the thing had stopped recording. That's what keep happening the last couple of times. So I know I feel like I'm teasing y'all with the Cities of Gold. We're going to finish the Cities of Gold episode we got last time. I think there's one more thing I wanted to read on this devil tree of El Dorado. And I mean, we haven't even begun to get the drop out of this joint, man. You know, they start having encounters with this kingdom on the inside and all this stuff, man. So, you know, you can take it or leave it, man. You could chew the meat, spit out the bones, but it's very descriptive, man. That's all I can really say. It's very descriptive. Vision or reality. That's all we say. Cities of gold. There seemed to me a large city. There were buildings that looked like grand palaces. This is what they're saying in Roraima. Roraima. All right, so they had to wait. They said, I say seem to wake up. I really cannot say, but either that or I dreamed the whole thing. Well, I seemed to wake up and fancied I heard distant shouts. I looked sleepily around and was surprised and alarmed to see very unmistakable glow in the sky through the trees. It struck me at once that the forest must be on fire, and if so, I thought my position might be an awkward one if the wood were burning and the fire traveling in the direction where I was. Let's skip down here. I could see for miles, and in the center, as it appeared, there was a broad lake, and beside the lake were lofty buildings lighted up on all sides. Lofty buildings. Right? The lights being reflected in the water, there seemed to me a large city. A large city. There were buildings that looked like grand palaces. There were wide, noble-looking embankments and promenades and bridges, all well lighted. And on the lake, boats also lighted were going to and fro, filled with people. I can hear shouts and cries, though of what nature it was impossible to say. And through my glasses, I can plainly distinguish numbers of people moving about. It was as though some kind of fete were going on. Was that a party? Festival? The large buildings towered into the air, and their cupolas and turrets glistened as though built of gold and silver. In effect, it was a wondrous sight, and how long I stood watching it, I cannot say, but after a time the lights went down and all became silent and dark. Yeah, man. You're just talking Roraima. All right, man. We're just taking a journey in the magical forest, man, and I think this is a good time to, jump on back to these cities of gold. All right, man. Hold up. Where's my fair use in your caboose bone, man? Fair use in your caboose bone, man. We just about to dig on this for a little bit of teaching, a little bit of criticism. You dig? A little bit of education. This is our classroom. Stop jamming us up. For real, for real. For real, for real, man. Let's go, man. All right. So we're going to finish. We're going to finish that last episode and just let it flow. I'm just going to let it flow for a little bit. I think that was episode 2. You know what I mean? You got the link. You got the link. You know what I mean? Holla at me. You got the link, though. Let's go. Let's go. I think we finished. I think we're right there.
I would be happy to welcome you like their own son.
Yeah. All right. So we got to break them out.
This medallion to Tao. We can keep searching for the cities of gold without.
Both of you don't move until we get back.
Yeah. Okay.
Esteban.
You are friends of Esteban's.
The only thing I ask of you is not to encourage.
All right. So they broke them out.
Understand?
We almost got the whole thing. We almost got the whole thing last time. Let's pick it up from here, man.
That's incredible. It's back to like it was before. Ooh.
Look, the reflections of the medallion are forming like a symbol.
Huh? Like on the map.
What?
The beams of the medallion look just like the ones drawn on the map.
Oh.
Look.
Now you see how big this map is. Now watch, he's gonna have to fold it a couple times just to get the picture of the world that you know. All right, look how big the map he got. Okay, look at all these lands on the map he got. Now he's gonna have to fold it like some origami something so you can see the picture of the world as you know it, which lets you know you only know a very small piece of the puzzle when it comes to this earth plane of existence.
2 moons with beams that lead towards the sun. Oh, so then you think our medallions can help us decipher the map? We have to try. Zia, your medallion. Yours too, Esteban. Huh?
What's going on? Right, what now?
Ha! The moons are in place. And now, here comes the sun.
Oh, and then maybe we have to fold the map following the lines.
Yeah.
Origami, origami.
Wait, let me see. It looks like a map of the world. Yes.
Now you see a map of the world, right? But look how many times he had to fold it for you to get the picture of the map as you know it. So with the map fully open, you might be able to see clearly.
There's Spain, Europe, the New World.
What does this light indicate?
The Chinese Empire on the other side of the world. So there's where we must other side of the world. Yes.
Also, don't take it lightly that they keep putting America on the east, not the west. Right? Now they flipped it. Now America's over here and Africa's over here. Nah, Naga, you're in the east. They're in the west. You're in the east. They keep telling you that.
There's Spain, Europe, the New World.
What does this light indicate?
The Chinese Empire on the other side of the world. So there's where we must fly.
Oh, hold on there.
On the other,
Let me see this.
Europe.
All right, and this would be the Strait of Antioch, right? This would be the Bering Strait, Antioch. So when you had the Genghis Khan, President John, and that whole situation, you got this India here, right? You got the 3 Indias, India. And then you got this Asia-Russia situation connecting with America like that there. This is why the Rus and the Clan Rosses and all the, you know what I'm saying, kingdoms here, this is how they rock. This is how they rock. I mean, you know what I mean? You just got to see the orientation, even bit by bit. You got to see the orientation. Now they're talking about going to China.
The New World.
What does this light indicate?
The Chinese Empire on the other side of the world. So there's where we must fly.
We? Why we?
The air is no good for us here. And besides, I know a thing or two about the country that could be of great use to you.
And while he's there, he'll take a bit of gold, just like the last time.
But Tao, we don't know anything about China.
Can't you trust him? After all this time, Tao.
Hmm?
I wonder what he meant by the air is no good for us here. You know what I mean? Interesting.
Oh, all right. I hope the weather's warm in that empire.
The cities of gold.
No, it's not a question of gold.
It's all about the gold, man. It's all about the Orinoco flow.
I want to find out why I have this medallion around my neck.
Like me?
And I want to know why in the world my ancestors chose you and not me.
Why would my ancestors choose a hijack? Remember, we're just talking Estebanico, right? You're just talking Estebanicos and more. This is the real Esteban. He's not some little little kid, you know what I mean, you know, looking something else. This is a black man. This is a big black man walking around with his Anubis dogs. Look at his Anubis dogs, right? Come on now. They say Esteban, an enslaved Moroccan, made the first contact with the native peoples in what is now American Southwest. You're talking about New Mexico, Utah, fraught with misunderstandings. That encounter led to Esteban's untimely demise in 1539 and prefigured the violence, the more and more war. I mean, what was their reply? What was the Moabite reply to Esteban, you know, being killed? Their child of the sun. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he was sacrificed. He was crucified, our Esteban. Now, he came in asking for women in turquoises, said that he was following or under the leader guidance of a white man. They said, what do you mean you a black man being led by a white man? That shit's unheard of, man. They didn't believe his story. They knew he was lying, and they couldn't let him go like that. And he trespassed, and he crossed over the line. He crossed the line, right? So, you know, he got killed in New Mexico. He's the first non-native to enter. He made first contact. This black man met with other black people, right? This black man from Morocco as a Moray. Even in the series, though, they say he has ties to South America. And then now you see his dad is over some priesthood or something like that. He found out his dad was dead. You feel me? So what's the real connection with this Esteban? This is a big secret among their societies. You dig? Esteban's experience as a survivor of the failed Panfilo de Narvaez expedition to Florida in 1528 made him a natural choice to lead an expedition into the fabled lands in the north, which is now northern Mexico, Arizona, and New Mexico. You can read more about the story. You can go back into our previous drives where we really dug on this, you know what I'm saying, real thorough. The group set out in 1539, so a lot of what you're seeing in the cartoon is their real expeditions, all right? And a lot of this technology and stuff you're talking about, they really found in connection with Mu. They had this, they had their guides, and in reality, they were all copper-colored people. I mean, Zia is copper-colored, Esteban's a copper-colored brother, Tao's a copper-colored brother. But just like Tao said in the other episode, oh, you're connected with Atlantis. And I'm from Mu, and we've been fighting forever. I can't mess with you. I can't mess with you, Esteban. You know what I'm saying? I can't trust no Atlantean. Well, you know, just like the Moabite, you know, more and more war, you know, the Ame'rican, you know what I'm saying, perspective of the earth plane. You know what I'm saying? You're dealing with permission of the Pharaoh. We can only travel with permission of the Pharaoh. With permission of the Pharaoh. You're just talking to Maxim, right? Oh, yeah. Come on, give me one more. You're just talking a Maxim. I'm just going to say with permission of the Pharaoh. If I can't find it here, I know it's on YouTube somewhere. Okay. Y'all gonna make me work for it? Let's see if they took it down from YouTube yet. Alexa map. I don't know more shit. Bang. kind of music is that? All right. Let's check this out. Map of Amexem, right? Capital of Dominion, Africa, Amexem. Okay. Let me skip ahead a little bit. So northeast Amexem is what we call Africa today, but that's also just northeast Africa. America is northwest Amexem, or northwest Africa. Africa is Amexem, and the whole world is Africa, or Atlantis. Now, when it comes to the Moors and the Moroccan Empire, they can only get around under the pharaoh's permission. Atlantis. So even when you hear them talk, even when you hear Moorish brothers talk, they say, well, with the pharaoh's permission, we can move here, because they're still under, you know what I'm saying, this Atlantis hijack permission. You know what I mean? This is the energy. This is the Thoth. They're still under Thoth, right? So with Thoth, they can move, right? With the pharaoh's permission, they can move. You dig? You don't need Thoth's permission. We're not under no slave vibration. You know what I'm saying? We're not under no slave spell. You know what I mean? We're breaking the slave barrier, the Thoth Amon spell barrier, so we can move without the pharaoh's permission. But on their maps, this Moroccan Empire, this Atlantis, this Amexem, north, northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast, they can only move the Moor, right? Moab can only move under the permission of the Atlanteans, under the permission of Thoth, Tahuti, under the permission of the Egyptian Pharaoh. This is their confederacy. You're seeing it right here in detail. Let's get it from here. Right, so now we're moving. I'm going to try to back this thing up a little bit so we can get a nice picture of what's going on. Stop. So South America is Southwest Amexem, Africa. You're still in Africa in South America, according to the Moroccan perspective, the Atlantis perspective, the Egyptian perspective. It's all Ham and Kush, right? Ham and Kush. No Shem. Nope. They acknowledge you exist today, but on their map, you don't exist, nigga. You don't exist. Northwest Amexem is North America. So they want dominion over everything as long as they got the Pharaoh's permission. Because all you see everywhere they go is with permission of the Pharaoh, under the Pharaoh's permission. And you see all this Atlantis connecting all this, right? Now, they're not talking about Mu. You don't see Mu nowhere. Even though they say they get the Mu, they get the more from the Mu, but even Tao says they're Muins, not Moors. Muins, right? Not Moor-ish or Mu-ish. They're not Mu-ish. They're Mu'in. Mu'ania. Mu'ana. So you don't see that represented. You don't see Shem represented. You don't see you. You see what they consider their dominion of Atlantis. All this northeast Atlantis, Amexem, Africa, southwest Atlantis, Amexem, Africa. This, I just need you to really, sink in on this is their perspective, all right? So with permission of the Pharaoh is how they move, period. And you come from Hawa. So that's a whole higher order than anything they can really dig on. That's a whole higher frequency than anything they can dig on. And I need you to know that. You still in Africa to them. You know what I'm saying? And they know you're in the old world. The dominion, right? So they want the dominion. Ham wants dominion here. And all this belongs to Kush, right? All right, man. We're just talking about perspective, all the way real perspective. Where was he getting there? Okay, there we go. So when we talk about this Estebanico, he's Esteban Zamore. So his perspective is literally, where we at? Is this perspective. This is Esteban's perspective. This is Estebanico's perspective. He's from Morocco, but all of this is Morocco. This is all the Moroccan Empire. So imagine him coming into Hawaku with the people of Hawa, saying, yeah, all this belongs to me. And he's literally bringing in the hijack from Europe and everywhere else, They're counting on Esteban to penetrate these areas just because he look like you. Just because he looked like you, they said, all right, we'll get behind him. He's claiming to be this magician. He could do all these things. And what happens? They murked him. They murked him in the Holy Land, right there in Hawiku. He met an untimely demise because he came in with a hijack perspective. And it's no hijacks allowed. And it caused this violence, right? It prefigured the violence that would characterize the Spanish conquest and subsequent colonization of the region. Subsequent colonization. This is the face of the colonizer. And this is the face of the colonization. And this is the face of the prefigured violence. The more and more violence in the treaties that will follow. Because you got your Indian tribes today that are still rocking with this frequency. You got to be able to dodge the hijack. So, you're talking Mendoza, Don Antonio de Mendoza, the Viceroy of New Spain, engaged the services of Esteban. But not little, white-looking Esteban. I'm talking about nigga Esteban. Grown man-ass Esteban, man. Grown man Esteban, man. Yeah, this cartoon is more than a cartoon. Yeah. Even if it was Transformers, we still some grown-ass men that might like to watch cartoons. So, some grown-ass sisters like to watch cartoons, but this is a real deal. This is a real spiel cartoon. So when you hear about Mendoza, can we trust you, Mendoza? You need me. You got to trust me. I'm just going to play this last little part of this scene again now that you know what Esteban looked like. Now that you know Mendoza is Don Antonio de Mendoza, the Viceroy of New Spain, who engaged the services of Esteban, purchasing him from Dorantes, which is why he was called Esteban de Dorantes. Protocol demanded, however, that a slave could not lead an exhibition. Hence, Mendoza persuaded a Franciscan friar Marcos de Niza, nice, to at least normally head the venture. And even though they, the narrative is that, he was purchased, I think in reality he was leading the way because you're just talking about the Moroccan Empire, and this is Esteban Zamore, and this is their perspective. So how in the world could a Moor from Morocco be getting purchased in the 1500s? What other Moors from Morocco got purchased in the 1500s? Come on, man. Not when you signing treaties. Not when you signing treaties. Pieces and friendships all over the place. So no. We don't play that narrative, man. We don't think he got purchased. We think this is the face of the invasion, man. Hijack City. And again, now that you know we're talking about a real Esteban and we're talking about a real Mendoza, when you dig on this little section right here, let's get it back.
I have this medallion around my neck.
Like me.
And I want to know why in the world my ancestors chose you.
I know a thing or two about the country that could be of great use to you.
So this is a little cartoon Esteban, right? See the difference? See why you got to do your research so you can get a clearer perspective. This is Mendoza, right? Shit, he could have been copper colored too, as far as we know. You know what I mean? Come on, man. Hold on. I think we got a couple other pictures of Estebanico. Oh, okay, that's Charles. That's Charles Quinto. So they had Charles. Great comments coming in, man. Ahab for the Ahab comments, man. Keep dropping that because we're gonna dig on those next time. We're just talking Charles Quinto. We're talking Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. So you see him throughout this series. He's the one calling the shots. This black man is calling the shots. So how in the hell can you be saying that this black man is calling the shots at the same time that this black man is getting purchased? Get the fuck out of here, man. Get that shit out of here. Nah, man, these niggas is in a confederacy, Jack. And they just want to keep the narrative going that, well, we can't say that he was in power because then we're showing that, yeah, that's what it really looked like. Let's just say that he was a slave leading the way. We'll change the narrative so that we show the white people being in power. Nah, nigga. Nah, naga. This nigga's in power, man. Charles Quinto. Christopher Columbus came here in 1492. This nigga's in power, right? In 1558. So who wrote up on us, man? Since we know what the world looks like. Don't tell me about this black power shit, man. You better cut it out. Show me that black power. Oh, the black power means that, you know what I'm saying, we got a powerful kingdom here and a powerful kingdom here, and we're going to roll up on another powerful kingdom. That's black power? Nah, man, it's tribal. It's tribal. It's tribal war. And it benefits both of them for you just to see, oh, black and white. It's tribal war. It benefits everybody to follow the narrative and have you hating white people for this and doing this for that. It's tribal war, man. Because white people want to feel like they were in power this whole time. So, yeah, give them that narrative. They'll run with it, even though they weren't. It was tribal war. And the ones behind the scenes, the other black tribes rolling up against other so-called black tribes, they don't want you to, point the finger at the end of the day. They're like, oh, we never went into slavery, though. We still got our inheritance. We can afford all these things. We got all this land. They're looking like you. They're looking like everybody because we all look the same, man. You know what I'm saying? So we know each other by energy, frequency, and vibration. And they're hiding behind the strong man. The strong man's still guilty. But boy, is there something on the other side of that veil that looks just like you. Even today, it looks just like you. As hard it is to believe. The powers you don't see look just like you. And it hurts as a brother, you know what I'm saying? To not be able to, grasp a reality that we were all working together. Because in reality, you know what I'm saying, it's tribal mafia, man. It's tribal war. You got one group, even in Shem, you got one group, you know what I'm saying? You got the children of Lot. They want a bigger lot. They're not satisfied with their lot. The seeds of Lot want a bigger lot. Oh, the seeds of Lot, man. The seeds of Lot, they want dominion of it all. Under the Pharaoh's permission, of course. You know what I'm saying? You got to be in the matrix. That's why they don't really want to break the matrix. They just want to, finagle inside the laws and just finagle inside the crevices of the matrix to the parts that they know that, you know what I'm saying, they have some type of pull. They can do a little pulley system and, regain some type of leverage here and there and talk all this inner matrix talk. We say tribe or nothing. Give me reality or give me nothing. Give me Hawa or give me nothing. Give me Eden or give me nothing. Oh, but let's make a deal. You don't get no deal unless we give you a deal. And if you're asking me, it's no deal. Because we hijack free. We don't have a hijack perspective. We don't have a hijack perspective, man. So, you know what I mean? We're just digging on the reality. When you talk Esteban, know what you're talking. It's reality. When you talk Mendoza, you're talking reality. The group set out in 1539 by prior agreement. Esteban traveled several days ahead of Fray Marcos, leaving behind a trail of crosses of varying size. So now they're finding all these crosses all throughout Arizona, all these Roman, all this stuff on them. Hey, what's the relation with Esteban? You know what I'm saying? What's the relation with the Coronado expedition? Corresponding with his findings, Esteban returned to his previous role as healer, interpreter, go-between, and son of the sun. Son of the sun. Now relate this to the Inca, right? Relate this to Genghis Khan. You know, he is the sun. Who's the son of the sun? What's this Esteban, relation with these particular, fraudulent Khans on the other side who stole the Khan from Priest King Prestigion, or the real King David? Convinced of Esteban's healing powers, some 300 natives joined his retinue and provided him with numerous presents. So he convinced him that he's the son of the sun, right? He's the son, just like Christianity. He's the son. He has healing powers. They're giving him presents like a Christmas tree. All went well until he reached Hawaku, a Zuni pueblo located just east of the present Arizona-New Mexico border. And Graham Hancock connects the Zuni with Zebulon, the tribe of Israel. He connects Zuni with Zebulon. He sent a message ahead stating that he was coming to establish peace and to heal them. Now he's coming to, he's coming into Promised Land territory, Kalelu Cibola territory, Shimbala territory, saying that you're gonna come and heal us. You must have a whack ass perspective, G. Because you're thinking that you're gonna create this dominion, but first you gotta, completely sever the spirituality of the people to weaken them. So you're going to come and heal them, right? Just like the missionaries. I'm coming to heal you with my hijack perspective. I'm going to give you peace when they already are at peace, right? Pueblo elders responded with the warning, he must not enter the village. He got a fair warning not to come through with his hijack. To his detriment, Esteban ignored the warning. Word of his death reached Fray Marcos, who gazed at Hawaku from afar, then headed back to Mexico City, claiming to have discovered the fabled golden city of Cibola. Cities of gold. It was all about the cities of gold, man. Just like Esteban in the cartoon looking for the cities of gold, this Esteban's also looking for the golden city of Cibola. Though they took Esteban's life, the Zunis memorialized him in a black ogre Kashina named Chakwana. To the native people, Esteban was the harbinger of the European conquest to come. Come on, man. Do you see this shit? Do you see this right here? So he lost his life. And you can Google this black ogre Kachina. I mean, you can Google this shit and you can see the actual image that they memorialized for this Esteban in real time. The indigenous people to the hijack-free Nagas, the Ame'ricans, to the indigenous natural people, Esteban was the harbinger of death, you dig? Of European conquest to come. So they had to kill off this energy as it, right where it stood, and then memorialized him as a black Kachina. Chakwana. He symbolized the European conquest to come. So don't say he's not rocking with Charles Quinto, even in the cartoon. This is the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. And Esteban symbolized this Holy Roman Emperor Charles V and his conquest to come. Oh man. We're just talking the Golden City, right? Cities of gold. Oh man. We're just talking Roraima. Roraima. We're talking Manoa, man. Which means we're just talking cities of gold. Manoa, Dorado. You dig? Oh man. Y'all want to keep it going for the dismount? All right, we're going to keep it going. See how much we can get of this for the dismount, man. Ahchwa for the reality check. You know what I'm saying? It's great to know what we're up against. It's great to know who is representing the harbinger of death, the European conquest, the hijack to come. I mean, it's good to know. It's good to know. When we talk this black ogre Kachina, Chakwana, alternatively named Kakwana or Tukokwana, is a Kachina which appears in Hopi, Zuni, and Karisin ceremonies, but does not appear in Tewa ceremonies. Although imagery of the Kachina is varied, it is usually depicted as an ogre with ferocious teeth and a black goatee and black mask with yellow eyes. Now, unless you knew this was talking about Estebanico the Moor, you just would think they're just, symbolizing something, something that may or may not exist. But now you know that this is absolutely what exists. This is Esteban, people. This is Esteban. This is Esteban. This is the symbol of European conquest to come. This is the symbol, and there's many of them, right? There's many of them, man. This is the symbol of the European conquest to come. Ain't that something? Ogre. Oh, there's Esteban. There he goes. How would you know, man, unless you were doing the recon and surfing the wave, what it is? To the people of Hawiku, to the indigenous people, to the Hopi. The black ogre is Estebanico, man. Is the symbol of European conquest to come. You're just talking about the Kakwana Kachina. Or, good old-fashioned Esteban. As they call him down here. He lived in Cuba, later in Mexico. Esteban spent his life moving among various peoples and cultures. His own survival depending on his ability to function in multiple worlds. But as soon as he got to Hawiku, he met an untimely demise because they are hijack free. We're just talking Estebanico. We're just talking Mendoza. Let's go, man. Let's see if we can get a piece of this dismount.
And while he's there, he'll take a bit of gold, just like the last time.
But Tao, we don't know anything about China.
Can't you trust him? After all this time, Tao. Oh, all right. I hope the weather's warm in that.
Can you trust Mendoza? I don't know, man. I don't think so, man. I don't think so, man.
Yes, we discovered it after our departure.
Oh, hold up.
What, Sancho? Don't you recognize our old friend?
Oh, but of course, it's the condor.
Is it play? High tech.
Let's not waste any time.
Let's go!
Wow.
Is it new?
Yes, we discovered it after our departure from the New World. I discovered it. Another great invention of my ancestors.
Tao is a proud brother, and he needs to keep telling these hijacks who invented this technology. And this Atlantean, this brother over here, just look at him. He's a little jealous. But, he's a chosen one, right? So they got to get to the bottom of why Tao's people, they say, chose Esteban for this purpose. Now, in reality, he wasn't that chosen because he got murked in Hawiku at the age of 39. So that would be shortly after these little ventures here because he's a grown-ass man right here. So clearly, Tao will be having the last laugh in that scenario. You know what I'm saying? You did what? What happened in Hawaku? I thought you was a chosen one, G.
Well, it's quite practical. Are there any other new features? Fold-out beds, built-in kitchen.
Dip on him.
We made it out of there alive.
Dip out on him.
Too easy.
Too easy?
When we came out of the secret passage at the foot of the ramparts, I had the feeling the soldiers fired but weren't really aiming, as if they were pushing us to leave.
Ah!
I did everything that you asked me, so give me my son back.
Daddy!
Oh, my son. What are you doing?
Go run and hide. I have orders to kill you.
I must take my leave, sire. I cannot afford to let...
And one of the great comments that came in from his sisters, she said, it looks like Charles made a pact with the dark side. So you don't see no face on this, devil here. You know what I'm saying? This low frequency here. But he's made a pact and they're working together, to, try to get the drop on the cities of gold.
Let them get too far ahead. You're going to follow them, but to where? All the way to China. Then who knows? Maybe.
Like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? What is this that Charles V, Black Charles V, is making a deal with?
Even further still.
We're in China!
Upon their arrival in China, Esteban and his friends make acquaintance with young Z, while the great condor falls into the hands of terrible pirates. Our heroes find refuge in a village that seems to harbor a marvelous secret. Don't miss the next episode of the Mysterious Cities of Gold.
Cities of gold. Now they in China, right? Which we still know. They just talking about the Americas, man. Hey, look, man. What pact did this man make with that particular vibration? What deal with the devil did this man make to try to find you? To try to get all your drop, to try to get all your drop, man. So, one more time, man, it's always real in the field as we flow here and, just for them just for Hijack City, man. Fair use in your caboose bone. Fair use in your caboose bone. I think we good, man. I think we... Oh, yeah. We done floated on up, man. We're right at the 2-hour mark. I'll give about, 5 minutes of this piece right here that we were digging on with the Mountain of Mystery. Back to this Roraima drop. A-hop to the home team, to the real ones, to all the loved ones out there, man, supporting the flow, supporting the wave, wanting to see us succeed, wanting to see us, break the barrier. We appreciate the flow that you're giving, man. This feels like the Orinoco flow, We're breaking down the barrier in real time. Ahchwa.
Into their jungle environment, which, though fascinating, is full of dangers. They are the inhabitants of the jungle who live alongside and respect the endless different life forms around them. Their culture is ancient, almost as ancient as the landscape.
Yeah, they would be new here in comparison to the ancient ones. Let's go.
In which it has developed.
Oh, man. Dodge the hijack, man. What's going on here, man? I'm skipping ahead, man.
Has fired the imagination of the traveler and has given rise to all types of legends. Perhaps that is why Arthur Conan Doyle was inspired by Roraima when he wrote the novel The Lost World.
And that's part of what we're reading with the Deviltry of El Dorado. Let's go.
Rounding a tight bend in the River Churun, the mythical Geribakupai of the Pemons, the Angel Falls, appear. It is a spectacular sight, a unique landscape. It is not surprising that the first European travelers were profoundly moved by its very presence, and that it has been, since time immemorial, the home and the origin of the native pantheon.
The origin.
It is the highest waterfall in the world. The accumulated rainwaters of this part of the plateau crash down from a height of 972 meters, almost a kilometer. It is 17 times higher than the Niagara Falls.
How many times higher? Because everybody go to Niagara Falls, it's like, oh, it's the most beautiful day. Oh my gosh. But how many times higher is this waterfall?
It is the highest waterfall in the world. The accumulated rainwaters of this part of the plateau crash down from a height of 972 meters, almost a kilometer. It is 17 times higher than the Niagara Falls.
17 times higher than the Niagara Falls.
Flying over the Tepui, looking down at the walls of the Devil's Canyon, it does not surprise us that Arthur Conan Doyle...
And they're always calling it Devil's Canyon, Demon Forest, Devil Tree, Devil, Demon, right? And all you're talking about is dragons. But since they don't belong to these people, they're scared to death and they demonize them, right? But if they belong to them, they wouldn't be calling them demons. So you're only getting it from the hijack when they're walking up in the trees of Eden. A couple more minutes.
I should dream of dinosaurs inhabiting this lost world.
Dinosaurs. We just saw, we're just talking dragons when we talk dinos. We already know that.
Flying over the Tepui, looking down at the walls of the Devil's Canyon, It doesn't surprise us that Arthur Conan Doyle should dream of dinosaurs inhabiting this lost world. On the 700 square kilometers of the Auyan Tepui, the vegetation and wildlife are different from those below. The Tepuis are the remains of an enormous plateau which in the Precambrian era occupied the entire region. The vegetable species that covered the ancient massif and part of its fauna have survived on the summits of these hills, isolated by the high vertical walls. After falling for almost a kilometer, the water crashes to the ground, forming rain and creating a ghostly atmosphere, giving the falls an ethereal, dreamlike appearance. At dawn, the reflection of the first rays of sun produce a rainbow which adds even further to the spectacular image of what the Indians call Kiri Bakubai. The falls were seen for the first time by the Guyanan explorer Felix Cardona in 1927. 10 years later, the American pilot Jimmy Angel landed on the top of the Auyan. He was looking for a gold mine, but the plane got bogged down in a swamp area and they had to descend on foot. After 15 days of hard struggle for survival, they arrived exhausted at the village of Uruyen. Since then, the Keri Bakubai has been known as the Angel Falls.
So they just discovered this in the early 1900s, man. This ancient place that they're now saying is the most ancient on Earth.
Did Jimmy Angel find the gold of the Auyan? Some people say he did, and that one of his partners, the Latvian Alexander Laimel, kept it in secret. This mysterious figure dedicated his life to the Auyan Tepui and even lived on its summit. What did this eccentric cartographer see on the Auyan Tepui? Laimel died some years ago without revealing his secrets. But to those of us who knew him, he spoke of mutants, of beings from another world who lived on the Auyan, the sacred mountain of the Pemons.
Cities of gold.
Flying south to the Makiritari village of Kanarakuni, the only clearing in the jungle for some 800 kilometers.
They're just talking cities of gold, cities of gold, cities of gold, man. I mean, look how beautiful the flow is, man. Just meditate on it, man. Just vibrate to it, man. We're just talking about cities of gold. We're talking about the Naga cities of gold, man. You know what I mean? We're talking about the indigenous natural spiral, the bow, the covenant, the ancient love song. And we're just surfing the wave, man. Know what it is, man. Know where you at. You know what I'm saying? Know who's been trying to find you the whole doggone time. Know that you are already home and that all this mythological or mystical anything has to do with the ancient world. And believe me, if you knew where you was at, oh man, it would be a fabled place of fairylands to you too, man. Giant trees, dragons, golden cities. All this is where we stand. All this is the Orinoco flow. All this is the Mar Anan Amazon. And we're just talking about the trees of Eden, the trees of life, and out of the ground made a wild to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life, also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Keep increasing your knowledge. Like Daniel 12 says, the knowledge will increase and will be abounding, and the books will be sealed. Allah, all praise Allah, for the ability to surf the wave with my Shabbat, peace and power.